A second brain enables you to recall everything you might want to remember so you can achieve anything you desire. Building a Second Brain by Tiago Forte is all about showing us how to build an information management system to help us organize our digital life and be far more creative. In this video, we'll cover 3 parts. What exactly is the second brain and why you should have one? We'll also talk about how you can build your own second brain in 4 easy steps. So to understand what the second brain is, let's start with a story of 2 workers, Dan and Rachel. Dan has a second brain, while Rachel doesn't. Rachel's day looks something like this. She wakes up with a mind full of thoughts and ideas, but her morning is chaotic, dealing with urgent emails and constant distractions. By the time she has a chance to focus on her priorities, she's too tired and scattered. After work, she tries to work on an exciting personal project, but she can't recall where she stopped last time. Despite her efforts, she feels unable to make meaningful progress and goes to bed disappointed. On the other hand, Dan has a second brain, and his day looks a little different. He also wakes up with a mind full of thoughts and ideas, but he quickly captures important thoughts related to work and life using his computer and smartphone. Throughout the day, he continues to gather insights and reflections, turning them into well-organized digital notes. After work, he works on his personal project, knows exactly what to focus on, and makes significant progress. Finally, he goes to bed satisfied. Rachel keeps delaying her dreams, but Dan is making good progress every day. It's not that Dan is smarter than Rachel, he just uses a second brain. So, what exactly is a second brain? In today's digital age, information is everywhere and more accessible than ever. But it can be overwhelming, making it hard to focus on what truly matters. To succeed and reach our goals, we must handle information better. That's where a second brain becomes essential. It serves as a digital notebook for your ideas and learning, a kind of external hard drive for your mind. It ultimately expands our memory and intellect by using digital tools, such as a note-taking app and a calendar to store and retrieve essential information. Think of it as your best personal assistant, reliable, always available, and ready to capture valuable insights. This brings us to the second part. Why should you care? Why would you want to build a second brain? Our brains have limitations. They can't remember everything because they can only hold a few thoughts at once. In simpler terms, our brains are meant for having ideas, not storing them. This is why you might have forgotten many great ideas and missed acting on valuable insights or advice. Even though we spend a lot of time absorbing content, most of that knowledge is lost when we need it the most. For knowledge workers, where your knowledge is your most valuable asset, it's crucial for generating ideas, solving problems, and communicating effectively. By gathering ideas from different sources into one place, you create a helpful resource to support your projects and goals. Offloading our thinking onto a second brain allows our main brain to dream, create, and be present in the moment. The second brain has 4 superpowers. First, it makes our ideas concrete using digital notes. These notes transform vague ideas into visible, organized, and editable things. Next, it helps us discover new connections between ideas. In our second brain, we can rearrange ideas to reveal unexpected connections. The third superpower nurtures our ideas over time. Often, tasks rely on immediate ideas, causing overwhelm. A second brain, storing lots of ideas long-term, turns time into your friend. Finally, it enhances our unique perspectives. When creatively stuck, it's not a flaw. You need more material, such as examples, stories, or statistics to argue for your perspective. A second brain helps build an inspiration well and highlights your own thinking. This brings us to the third part. How do you build your second brain? Forte developed a simple 4-step method called CODE, which stands for capture, organize, distill, and express. Let's start with that first step. In building a second brain, the initial step is to capture knowledge you find valuable, also known as knowledge assets. These assets can be external, like book highlights and links to interesting content, or internal, such as personal ideas and stories. However, we can't keep everything in our second brain. To decide what to save, use capture criteria. Choose questions that intrigue you and are important to your work and life. These favorite problems stay consistent over time and guide your personal growth. Next, to capture information effectively, become a selective curator. Save just the most important parts. When deciding what to keep, you can ask 4 questions. 1. Does it inspire me? Like saving inspiring quotes or customer testimonials. 2. Is it useful? Like saving statistics, stock images, or a research finding. 3. Is it personal? like documenting moments that matter to you. 4. Is it surprising? Capture ideas that challenge your thinking or bring a new perspective. These 4 questions will help you decide what is worth capturing. But more importantly, keep only what intuitively resonates with you. Think of it like a scientist collecting only the rarest butterflies. Our aim is to capture only the ideas and insights that we find really important. Finally, how does capturing work exactly? Start utilizing capture tools such as ebook apps, read later apps, and web clipper apps. Each has its purpose and helps you capture content effortlessly. Now, what to do with the knowledge assets you've gathered in your second brain? This brings us to the second step: organize. Let's talk about organizing your second brain for actionability. Instead of creating a perfect hierarchy of folders up front, which can be time-consuming, organize around your active projects. Think of organizing information like setting up a kitchen for cooking. This is where the PARA system comes in. This system simplifies organizing information into 4 categories. First, projects. Like pots and pans on the stove, these are things you're actively working on now, such as designing a web page or planning a vacation. Next, areas. Similar to items in the fridge, they are for ongoing responsibilities you frequently check on, such as managing finances or overseeing product development. Next, resources. Similar to items in the pantry, they're available for any future use, like hobbies, habits, or industry trends. Finally, archives. Similar to the freezer, items are in storage until needed, possibly far into the future, like inactive items from projects, areas, or resources. Now the question is, how do you effectively use the knowledge you've gathered? This brings us to the third step: distill. Think of your first notes as raw materials. They must be processed and refined to become valuable knowledge assets. Here are 3 guidelines to help you with this. First, design notes for your future self. Think of note-taking as time travel. Make your notes easily discoverable for your future self by defining key terms, inserting placeholders, and adding links to related content. Think of it like how librarians arrange books or how websites have user-friendly menus. Second, summarize progressively, at various levels of detail. In a nutshell, summarize your notes in layers by highlighting each layer in a different format, such as bold, underline, and a written summary. For example, capture the main points from an article, and then create a second layer by bolding the main points of those highlights. This method makes it easier to grasp the essence of a note quickly. It's like a digital map where you can zoom in for details or zoom out for a broader view. Third, distill gradually. Instead of creating perfect notes all at once, add value little by little. Each time you touch a note, make it better by giving it a good title, highlighting important points, or linking to other related notes. Now, let's discuss the last step in building a second brain: express. The main purpose of gathering and organizing knowledge is to share it with others. For those who love learning, there's a tendency to keep collecting information without applying it. But what is the point of knowledge if it doesn't help anyone or create anything? To create valuable output, start by shifting from constantly consuming information to creating things. Utilize your stored knowledge to generate content, such as articles and white papers. Second, break projects into intermediate packets. Small, manageable units serving as building blocks for your work. For instance, when planning a conference, these blocks can be the agenda, breakout sessions, and keynote checklist. Instead of taking on an entire project at once, focus on completing one intermediate packet at a time. Lastly, start sharing your work with others, whether it's an ebook or a brief post expressing your thoughts. This can lead to benefits like forming new connections and attracting clients. The code method will help you start building your second brain. However, remember that the goal is not to create a perfectly organized encyclopedia, but a functional system that is imperfect yet consistently useful in your life.